Hi, everyone. I am Violet Diallo, the founder and CEO of FemCity, and you are joining us for a very special mental health series that we are doing in May. It is the theme, obviously, and it plays really nicely with our overall theme at FemCity, which is forgiveness. So today I've asked one of our FemCity Global experts to join me in today's conversation. I think she's just perfect for us to go ahead and learn from as we talk about this conversation or this topic. Dr. Tari is a clinical psychologist and celebrity relationship expert. She's appeared on Access Hollywood, Daytime Chicago, CBS News, Fox, and in publications such as Cosmopolitan, Parade, The Mirror, along with many others. She's also the resident psychologist at the OpenHouse Podcast with Louise Rumball. Dr. Tari's passion is helping people heal and elevate themselves internally so they can access elevated relationships and partners. Dr. Tari understands how our emotions, behaviors, and relationship patterns are shaped by our histories, childhoods, and beliefs. And she uses this knowledge to understand each client's unique psychology and experience, gently break their unfulfilling relationship patterns, and light up their direct path to healthy love. I have to also add, your post today on Instagram was on point. Like, I have been in meetings all day, but I meant to share it. I think your Instagram account is also filled of really great content. So I just wanted to say thank you for posting what you did today, because I thought it was really, really great. So for those that are on Instagram, definitely follow her. And I'm sure at the end, we'll go ahead and share that handle for you. Anything that I missed, Dr. Tari, before we get started? And thank you, by the way.
No, thanks for having me, and thanks for my Instagram plug.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So we're going to dive into relationships for this conversation. And if you're watching us even months from now, feel free to reach out to Dr. Tari. If you have questions or if you need any additional support or resources, we're here to help you. But you do specialize in relationships. And I love that you also specialize in kind of reviewing the past and the history and the childhood and the narrative, and finding ways to kind of uncover that and also remove those blocks so that we can have healthy relationships, which of course is a pillar of great, healthy mental health, having those support systems in place. How do relationships play a part when it comes to our mental health? I mean, it's kind of obvious, but I guess my point in asking you that is I really want to drive home the importance of relationships when it comes to mental health.
Yeah, I mean, even though I focus mostly on healthy romantic relationships, relationships in general are very protective for our mental health because as humans, we are wired for connection. And real connection can't happen without vulnerability, which we can talk about a little bit more in a bit. But healthy relationships are linked to things like lowered depression rates, lowered anxiety rates, higher rates of self-esteem, and also relationships, romantic, but also other kinds of relationships, I think are the greatest vehicles of learning, like self-learning, self-growth. You know, our relationships and the people that we choose to spend our time with, invest our energy with, to give our love to and receive love from are mirrors for us. So the kinds of people that we choose to engage with tells us something about us and our level of emotional health. And I think sometimes people don't understand that. So, you know, I've done couples therapy for a very long time, and people always come in kind of pointing the finger at their partner. And I help them, you know, look at themselves. What is your part in this dynamic? Because all dynamics are created by both people involved, or all the people involved.
Wow. I have to say, like, everyone's gone on their own journey when it comes to relationships, right? And I learned very late in the game that as you see the world, you see yourself, and expecting other people to behave a certain way. And then that connection, the reflection of yourself. What you just said gave me chills because I have so many friends that are looking for love, and I always tell them about that self-love aspect. But what you just shared right now is if you're, you attract in essence what you are, and it's a reflection of where you're at. That to me is like, I still have goosebumps over that. I wish I had learned that way before my
Me
30s.
too.
Yeah. It's like, wow. All right. So now that we understand the importance of relationships and how it can be that reflection, what are some ways that we can leverage relationships to improve our mental health?
So I think the first thing is asking yourself, what role do I play in my relationships? And again, this can be romantic partnerships, it can be family relationships, friend relationships. As children, we all took on a certain role in our family. We didn't know we were doing that, but these roles are kind of unspoken, and we adapt to our family system, and we choose roles that help us feel two things: safe and loved. Even in the best of families, we play a role. So some of us may be like the protector, some of us might be the helper, some of us might be the scapegoat, some of us might be the troublemaker. Now, we needed those roles as children. They helped us survive. And the problem is, as we grow up, we stay in those roles. So we are adults now playing this same role in our relationships until we start doing the work. And we usually start doing the work when we understand, hey, this isn't working anymore. So ask yourself, these are some questions you can ask yourself. In my relationships, do I tend to give more than I receive? Or do I tend to receive more than I give? Do I tend to fix people up like a project? Do people really know what I need and who I am? Am I showing up authentically, or am I more of a presenter? I present how I think people will approve of me. Do I people please? So really first asking yourself, what is my role, and is that working for me? And likely, if you haven't done a lot of inner work, there's probably some places that you can grow. And one of the biggest places I think people can grow is in terms of, like I said, showing up authentically, which does require vulnerability. Because a lot of us have learned that being vulnerable, which means sharing parts of ourselves that maybe aren't the prettiest or the shiniest, or we feel might be difficult to love, is not met with love. It's not met with compassion. We've had these experiences that tell us keep those parts hidden. So in order to do that, you have to really, start small. So you can start to be a little bit more honest with people in your life, and then watch how they respond. Some people are going to be emotionally safe, which means they accept all of you. They hold space for your feelings. They do their best to, respond to you in an empathic way. And some people, because of their own limitations, aren't going to be able to do that. And so if you start small, you'll be able to start to tell those people that you feel comfortable showing more of yourself to. But in general, the more authentically you learn to show up, the more you're going to get out of your relationships.
Wow. And even I was thinking like, my gosh, when you said, it's time when you ask, this is no longer working for me, that's when you step into doing the work. That's literally the pattern I went through. And I love that you mentioned showing up vulnerably and authentically, because then that's the reflection you'll get back for your loved ones as well. Is that I know sometimes we expect others to show up in a certain way, but if we're not ready to show up in that manner, why would they? And we get upset, right? Our expectations are set high, but if we're not doing the work, we're not showing up like that, how can we expect them to do that?
Right.
And yeah, I'm like, you need to be on our podcast also. This is great. Okay. So I'm like, how much time do we have? We only have okay. All right. So what if someone says, I don't have any relationships? And I feel like this is more common, especially during the pandemic, where we're starting to get back into in real life events. And sometimes not sometimes, I think during the pandemic, we definitely had a shift in the way that we had relationships. Whether it's not seeing people as much, or maybe showing up too much, or realizing that things weren't healthy for us. But what would you say to that person that says, I don't have any relationships, so where do I even go when it comes to mental health?
Yeah. So the first question I would ask that person is, do you want relationships? Okay. So just being honest with themselves, do I want relationships and I don't have them, or do I not want relationships? In either case, I would then, if I were working with that person, I would want to kind of uncover what these fears and beliefs are that are keeping them away from relationships and connection, because there's got to be something at play.
Yeah.
And what I would say is, this is the thing, like when we start to do the work, if we want to change, if we want different outcomes, if we want different kinds of relationships, if we want to feel different in our life, we're going to have to get uncomfortable. And that's the part that is really difficult. It's like I always say, like you're standing on a diving board looking down at a pool and you don't see any water in it. And I'm telling you, no, there's water. It's safe. You can jump in. But if we've never done that before, or if we have done it and gotten really bad results, it's terrifying. So for somebody who doesn't have relationships what fears are holding you back? Are you fearing rejection? Do you feel like you're not worthy? Do you feel like, whatever those beliefs are, I would say, how can you make a bid for connection with somebody in your world? Whether it's somebody you see every day or somebody who lives across the country. And that might be the hard part, reaching out and even just saying hi, or reaching out to someone closer and asking for help, or, whatever it is, like letting somebody know I'm here and I would like to connect with you. Yeah. And also the important thing of that, and it's also the same as what we were talking about with vulnerability, the medicine is in doing the hard thing, doing the different thing. The medicine is not how the other person responds, because not everybody is going to want to connect with you. Not everybody's going to be able to connect with you. Not everybody's going to respond well to your vulnerability or your bid for connection. Doesn't matter. The medicine is you're doing it. And once you do it once, you can do it again. And eventually that's how you find your people.
Yeah. Woo. Yeah, doing the work. And I know so many people that they start to do the work and it's just so uncomfortable that you can see them retracting back. And also, just to recap what you said, or adding exclamation points to that, is that when you start to reach out and create that first relationship with whoever it is, you're starting to move the energy. You're starting to move the energy so that's favorable for you to develop these relationships. So just start somewhere so that you can at least start moving it. And then you can create more of that in your life. All right. So other resources that you'd like to share for our femmes?
So you can always go to my website. Actually, right now, I have my Hallmark program is called Single to Engaged. It's kind of a funny name, but I created the program for women, particularly who struggle in relationships. And the reason I named it Single to Engaged is because a few years ago, I found myself saying to two different women in 1 week, like, listen, you could be engaged at this time next year, but you have to stay focused on what your work is, whether it's boundaries, whether it's pacing, whether it's vulnerability. And so it's a coaching program, 12 weeks long, and I kind of take women through the work and I help them identify what is your particular work. And then I hold your hand with a group of amazing women as they all do the work together. So that's a resource that's on my mind, because this one starts at the end of May, but you can join anytime.
Yeah.
And then also, I'm the Resident Psychologist at the OpenHouse Podcast, which is a London-based podcast all about mental health and relationships. Go check that out where you listen to your podcasts. Like, you're going to get hours of basically like free therapy.
I love that. I love that. I had to close the door because my husband was talking on the conference call, like right there. So I had to close it. So if you heard a slam, I didn't slam it. I just tapped it and then it just kind of closed. And I love how your cat just wandered through. I love when that happens. Anyway, thank you so much, Dr. Tari, for joining us today. This was so helpful. And I know our femmes are going to love this. And again, do you want to mention your Instagram handle?
Sure. It's just Dr. Tari, Tari Mack, Mack. And that's my website as well.
Awesome. And we'll post this. Yeah, we'll post it over on Instagram and tag you for sure over there. But this was so great. I mean, I can't believe you were able to give us so much literally within 15 minutes. This is, I wish that I started my journey at the age of 40, and I wish I had done the work before. I started doing the work. I bought, my first book was Marianne Williamson. I was 18 or 19 years old. Can you believe that? And not only that, listen to this. The other day, my 16-year-old said, there's someone running for the presidency. She's really great. And I knew who it was already. And she was like, she's fantastic. Have you heard of this woman? Marianne Williamson. I was like, she changed my life when I was 19 years old, like Return to Love, a
Oh my
Woman's Worth.
God. I just reread that book 2 weeks ago for like the 10th time.
It is like, it changed my life. And then like Gary Zukov. So I had been doing the work superficially, I think, like just kind of like peppering it through. But when I hit 40, it was like, I really dove in and it got ugly, it got messy. But I'm so grateful I did the work because I have healthy relationships now, with myself included.
Yes.
So
Love
yeah,
it. Love it.
I may reread that book too. You've inspired me. I should reread it.
It's amazing. You should.
Yeah, never gets old. Never gets old. Anyway, lots of love to you. Thank you
Mwah.
so much. All right,
Thank
bye
you.
everyone.
Bye.